People don't give a shit about your lifestyle. No one knows who you are. No one cares about your lifestyle. You don't have enough credibility to be showing off your lifestyle. You are not a celebrity. No one gives a fuck. Show them how to sell. That's what people care about when they're new in the business. They care about learning how to sell.
I always like to start these conversations, man, by just giving everyone a little bit of context about the guests, go over a theme and stuff. That way we keep this conversation as productive and objective as possible. Um, you know, big thing, just to give everyone a little bit of context here. You are one of the young rising talents that's earned attention in the insurance industry through obviously your skill when it comes to handling objections. Obviously your content super transparent. And you've obviously faced your fair share of resilience. You're the guy that everyone knows for buying leads, different types of leads, and testing them live. So I know a lot of these lead vendors, they hate you, but we need you. We need
Yeah.
you, bro, because everyone is trying to be the next big lead vendor, and we need to know who's the tried and true. So, again, you've also, from our conversations prior to this, you've kind of expressed, you had your fair share of adversity and living in a motel, starting with disadvantages, and then you came from Medicare into the space, and then
Yeah.
you've obviously built a name online really fast, really fast. So you obviously represent what happens when hunger meets skill. So today's conversation is going to be about skills to pay the bills, and then how real producers win daily. Now, for people in our organization who may not know you yet, give us like the real story. Who are you? What road brought you into insurance?
For sure. And thanks for having me on. It's crazy. I don't know if I've ever spoken to this many people on a Zoom call before. So you guys are in here going crazy. That's sweet. But my name is Jack Gariglio. I'm gonna say it like I'm talking to you guys like clients right now. But people know me online as Sell Hungry. If you don't know me already, it's crazy how much that's blown up. I did not expect that in a million years to get the positive reception that it did. I originally had a goal set when I started in October to have 1,000 followers by March, and it looks like we hit 10,000 followers by like the end of March. So it's just blowing my mind, beating my expectations every day. But a little bit about me personally. I grew up just east of the Flint, Michigan area.
Mm,
If any of you are from out in Michigan, it's not Detroit, it's Flint. Shout
mm,
out to the 810. And yeah, I grew up out there, and then I graduated in 2018. I went to college for a year and a half doing business management, and when the pandemic happened, I ended up dropping out of college. And from there on, I was definitely concerned about what my future was going to look like. And to be totally transparent with you guys, this might sound awful. I grew up as a stoner skater, like I worked at Domino's. I did not have like big ambitions for myself whatsoever. I came from a great two-parent household, very supportive parents, but I was just not making good decisions growing up. And I figured, well, what am I going to do when this whole pandemic thing is happening? Keep working at Domino's, or, what am I going to do? And I was fighting with my parents all the time at that time. So I moved out and I moved into a buddy of mine's house, and I was working as a bag caddy. And quickly the summer came to an end, and I was getting kicked out of his parents' house because he had to go back to college. And I honestly, for the first time in my life, was completely stuck on what I was going to do. So I was in the countryside of Michigan, way up north in a place called Traverse City, and I moved into a motel, and that was some of the worst times of my life, honestly. And living there, it just, I didn't like do a lot of research or do a lot of stuff on what I was going to do. I just knew I was going to do sales, because every time I would work a bag caddy job, they always would say, you're going to do sales one day. You're so good at talking to people. You need to do sales. And I didn't know what I wanted to sell, because a lot of people, they just sell shit. And I'm sorry, we have one of the best industries ever if you're doing it the right way. A lot of people, and shout out to the pest control people and the solar people, but at the end of the day, most of the time when you're selling those products, you're doing those people a disservice. I don't give a rat's ass if your dog can lick up the bug spray out of the yard, all that stuff. At the end of the day, a lot of people are selling like snake oil, in my opinion. And I did not want to be that type of person. So I started looking at sales opportunities on Indeed, and that's when I found a job doing Medicare sales. And that place was like boot camp for insurance. I won't say the name of the IMO specifically. I'm sure you'd be very familiar with them though. And that place was like boot camp for insurance, and they really drove ethics hard. You know, like if you wouldn't sell it to your grandma, don't sell it at all. That sort of mentality, and in that cult environment, it was some of the most stressful times of my whole entire life, living in a motel and working in the Medicare and doing cold calling all day. Um, but it taught me a lot about how to sharpen yourself and raise your emotional IQ when it comes to getting into a business that's as hard as 100% commission career sales. Because a lot of people are not mentally calloused enough when they get into it. And I was one of those people as well. I got so frustrated. I cried when I wouldn't sell in a day because I was so hungry to make a sale and get out of this motel and prove my parents wrong that I don't in fact need college or any of this stuff that's being recommended to me by popular sentiment. I'm going to make my own way.
Mhm.
And eventually I was able to get enough credit down to first purchase my own crappy little apartment in Traverse City.
Mhm.
And I met a great friend of mine named Storm, and we both decided to go all in on the life insurance side of things because we saw how much money was being made in life insurance. And Medicare is great too, but more renewals, that sort of thing. We wanted upfront commission fast, and life insurance is a great way to do that. So we jumped into life insurance and we never looked back. So that's kind of a little bit of my background.
Beautiful story, and it's not a an uncommon one. I respect the fact that you pay homage to the previous sort of industry that you were in, the previous organization, because that trait alone, paying respect to where you've learned and grounded your feet in this industry, it goes a long way. But that's what separates like the great agents for the ones who just complain and get by and like come into the industry, get a bad taste in the mouth and churn out, right? So definitely respect that. Um, that's the thing. And are you still getting paid like residuals and things like that
Not
from?
from my Medicare
Oh,
business, no. No, they didn't take very kindly to people leaving. We can just say
I
that.
respect it. Yeah, no, I respect it. And just to give you a little bit of context, the majority of the audience that you are speaking to, I typically when I talk to people trying to join an organization, I always say that we're like a refugee camp for agents who have been abused at other organizations, whether it's just like in insurance or in W-2 or other sales industries whatsoever. That's a majority of the hundred and God knows how many people are in this Zoom right now. So we are definitely on your side when it comes to having this conversation. Now, again, you're one of the younger names getting a lot of attention in the insurance industry right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get I know we kind of have our own understanding as to why you're gaining so much traction. Everyone's kind of opinionated in that sense, but why do you think your content and messages resonated with so many agents today? And like that's contributed to your following growing so much as it has been.
Um, I've actually, so honestly, I think it's just because I'm so transparent in my self-interest, it's
Mhm.
almost impossible not to enjoy it when you're looking at it. Like if you're in sales and you're going to sit there and tell me that that objection is not handled correctly or you could do better, then I always say in my comments when people are saying you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, no one's stopping you from making your own video. But
Mhm.
obviously society is valuing what I'm saying a lot. So um I
You're a
think
man of the people, dude. You're a man of the people.
yeah, it's just I think the reason it's resonated so much is I'm not shoving stuff down people's throats like the courses and stuff. Like, look, if you have to pay for the method, you are the method. That's what it is. Like, I'm not selling a course. I'm not trying to push you into joining an IMO. I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm never gonna message you and ask you to come join my team. And people appreciate that. People cannot breathe in the insurance business when it comes to going online on social media You can't follow someone without them, oh, come join this, or you're not in the right place, or dude, it's just horrible. Like, I get that we're in sales, but the recruiting side of this space is such a vicious, horrible, awful, toxic, poisonous, crappy part about this industry. I mean, I got a million words. Vile. It's horrible. Like, I hate those types of people. Like, when I get reached out to and they don't follow you, they don't care about you, they don't know anything about your content, they could give a rat's ass about you. They're just going to try to hire you, and then later on, those same people, if you do go work for them, they'll be the same person to hang you out to dry for a dollar bill. Like, those people don't care about you, and that's what I'm trying to change in the business, is more genuine, more real stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't guess I'm bad at describing it, but
No, you're absolutely nailed it on the head, man. And honestly, I don't know who I was speaking to. One of the bigger names in the space right now. Um, Someone said that transparency, like, in the past few years, if you can see the trends in like social media when it comes to insurance, right? Like you can see that now it's starting to kind of clean itself, right? Like all the young kids with the cars and stuff, they're making memes about them, and that was like a big theme like a year or two ago, right? Everyone's getting in the space because everyone's flexing, you know, all these material goods that they have, and not I mean, most people don't know that these people are actually dead broke. Um,
yeah,
but
so
the
I
game
actually
with
want to
this,
add something there. So that
yeah, please.
that's a good point. Like, there's a desensitization that's happened over the past couple of years where they've seen so many Lamborghinis, they've seen so many steak dinner photos, they've seen so many designer store receipts, they've seen so many deposits even in your bank account.
Mhm.
People don't give a shit about your lifestyle. No one knows who you are. No
Mhm.
one cares about your lifestyle.
Mhm.
You don't have enough credibility to be showing off your lifestyle. You are not a celebrity. No one gives a fuck. Show them how to sell.
Mhm.
That's what people care about when they're new in the business. They care about learning how to sell.
Mhm.
If they're not making any money, they're not going to be in the business for long. It doesn't matter if you bought them a steak dinner or bought them leads. If you didn't train them how to sell because you yourself don't know how to sell, and you just hired a bunch of people and got happy go lucky and it worked out for you, because that happens with people in this business. Agents are like scratch off tickets. You might have a fantastic one like me, you might have a terrible one that's going to leave you tons of debt roll up. You never know. But people are desensitized to that stuff, man. They're tired of seeing that shit. I'm telling you that I don't flex. They don't care. I could show you my deposits and no one would care in this room. No one would care. We've all seen it. We've all
Yep.
seen it.
The true value add is like what can you actually bring to the market based off like your own sort of knowledge, expertise with in your situation is sort of sales. Now, mm, handling objections as well. Now, you're obviously known, I know originally we talked about like you're known for testing different lead types and even like showing live phone reactions, right? Why do you think it's important for agents to understand lead behavior instead of just blaming leads? And let me ask you this. Do you have agents that you're leading and helping get paid? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You definitely hear the complaints of the leads. So go ahead.
Every day.
Answer that. So why do you think it's important for agents to learn lead behavior, understand lead behavior instead of just blaming the leads?
So they got to understand that every lead sucks, man. Like, every lead, right? Like, every lead sucks, man. They do. The customer is always wrong and every lead sucks. Those are the two of the top two things you want to think about before you start dialing for the day. The customer is always wrong and the leads suck. There is 0.01% of the time the customer will be like, "Yeah, I got 100,000 in protection. It's $400 million a month," and they're right about it. Okay, so first, the customer is always wrong, and then two, every lead sucks. So it's not about the lead; it is about the agent. As bad as I hate saying that, because that's the cliche term that gets said over the industry, but I've ran $80 live transfers, $40 mailers, check leads, digital leads, Facebook leads, make your own campaign leads, dollar leads. They're all the same. At one point in time, somebody filled that out with intention to purchase something. And you just have to sound better than the last guy they spoke to. And it's not that hard, guys. A lot of people suck in this industry. This industry is full of losers. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's the truth of it. It's the same as the banking world, it's the same as any other world. This industry is absolutely filled with losers because nobody ever grew up and said, "I'm going to be a life insurance agent."
Mhm.
Nobody said that. Nobody ever said that. Okay? So this industry gets filled with dirt bags that are going to leave you dead, screw you over, hang you out to dry, all of that good stuff. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Every lead
Yeah.
sucks.
I respect it. I respect it. But you tested a lot of sort of lead sources. So like what kind of patterns have you noticed? And then what do you think separates leads that can work from leads agents usually waste?
Um, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that
Yeah, no
last part of that
problem.
question?
Yeah, yeah. So
My
like
service here kind of
it's
sucks.
okay, no problem. You've tested so many lead sources, so I'm kind of curious to know like what kind of you say most of them suck. What patterns have you noticed? And then like what separates the leads that can work from leads agents usually waste?
I would say the pattern I notice about the leads is if you're especially if you're buying a digital lead, they're always going to say they don't remember filling it out or they never filled that out. You
Mhm.
got to not take what they're saying for face value. I mean, I've heard a lot of agents in my office, brand new agents that'll do that. I don't remember filling that out. Okay, well you had put your date of birth as this. Well, I didn't fill that out. Okay, have a great day. What a waste of a lead. I mean, that like you got to be able to rip the band-aid off, especially if you're working a lower intent lead. For instance, when you're a new agent, chances are you're going to be running a dollar lead most of the time because you're just scared to invest. That's just the way it works when you're brand new. You're scared to take that risk on yourself. You're scared to invest, which I wish you would just take that mental block out of your head and just buy a higher intent lead if you're feeling spicy. But most of the time they're going to buy a $1 lead, right? And that's going to give you a lot of batting practice. But the thing about a $1 lead, by the way, it's a tax write off. So cry about it. But the thing about a dollar lead, dude, it's a dollar lead. Have fun with it. Like that one of my biggest videos is like, what if I told you I had a gun to the back of my head and they were gonna pull the trigger unless you bought a policy? It's like we're just having fun with it because these people can barely fog a mirror that you're talking to sometimes. Like these people are just clicking on stuff online and filling it out. Like, yeah, that's what they're doing at the end of the day, but they have life insurance. And if you sound intriguing, you sound good, they're gonna sit and listen to you. I promise you, they're gonna sit and listen to what you have to say. You just need to be directive and rip the band-aid right off. By the way, we're not selling state benefits. We're not working for the VA. We are selling life insurance. That's what we are doing. So quit beating around the bush when you're talking to these people. I could lose my mind about the people that are vague in our office, especially. It just makes me so mad. We're selling life insurance. What are you trying to sell me? Hey, I'm not selling anything. No. The response, the takeaway. I don't know if I can sell you anything. There's a million better things you can say to those people than trying to act like you're with a government body or pretending to be somebody that you're not. If you're authentically you 100% of the time, they're gonna sit and listen. I promise you. Sorry
Yeah.
if I just ranted on
No,
right
no,
there.
no, no. Go, 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 go. This is game, dude. Everyone is
Yeah.
paying attention to this. This is like what we need to hear because a lot of people do not talk about this enough. Especially what you just talked about, the state benefits, representing government organizations, all these things, man. It's a big problem that's going on in the industry right now, and the way that the like regulation is about to take a turn right now. And a lot of people don't know this. Like, agencies that are one transparent and two following compliance are the only ones that are going to survive in the next 24 months. A lot of these guys are going to start getting shut down. A lot of things are going to start taking a turn for the worst. Even carriers, you can see they're sending out emails all the time. Hey, you got to change the way that you're saying this. This is what's happening. Well, I can't, certain things I can't say, but a lot of things are it's about to, turn up. So, you have agents, right? You've heard people say these leads suck. You talked about patterns and what you hear from the leads, but let's talk about like what we can do to counteract that. Like, what's the usual? You said skills issue. So, what kind of skill do you typically see? Is it like poor script, weak tonality, low follow up? Like, what's the typical issue that you see most agents make? Like, when it
So,
comes
like for instance, with our script at our office specifically, if they're reading it word for word with great tonality, they're gonna sound almost identical to me. But the way we train our agents is to also be real with themselves. It's so once we establish a connection with that client and share with them a little bit about our company, specifically our IMO, who we represent, we also have the agent share with them about themselves. And that process of connection makes it a one-on-one script every single time. It differentiates per person. Everybody's going to react to the information about that agent differently. Everyone's going to resonate with what you're saying differently. Some people might resonate with the fact that I'm from Michigan. Some people might not. Some people might like the fact that I'm younger. Some people might not. But the script is about taking one-on-one from the best and putting your own spin on it. It's great to copy people in this business. God gave you eyes to plagiarize, I think was the quote that I heard one time. God gave you eyes to plagiarize. So that's what you're supposed to be doing. But if it's not original to you and it sounds forced and hand-fisted and disingenuous, then it's there you're going to get hung up on a lot more. It has to be original to you. So a way to transition into that would be, well, hey, how about I share with you a little bit about myself as well? That way I'm not so much of a stranger on the phone with you anymore. Does that sound fair? Ask them that question. They'll always be okay with that. They'll always want to hear about you. And that's going to separate you from the last guy that they spoke to, because a lot of these guys are calling them off of burner numbers or hitting them off the dialer 24 hours a day, and they're never going to save that contact information for their client, service that client, anything like that. They're just going to get their commission and run for the hills. We're not those people. If you're going to last a long time in this business and be better in the industry than 99% of the people that get in, that's how to do it, is by selling on your service and selling on yourself as well. I sell on service, stability, and then price. Price is the last thing I sell on.
Mhm.
Last thing I sell on. And I have the best prices in the industry, but it's the last thing I'm selling on.
Service, stability, and price. I hope everyone took notes of that. I want to talk about your activity as well, man. You have definitely have the word tracks down. Skill is definitely there. I mean, that's the whole sort of your face is based around your skill, right? Mm, like in the industry as of what we know it. So kind of walk me through true money making day looks like for you. And because you're also managing, a team, people are counting on you to get them paid as well, which a lot of people also don't really, people call it downline and all that bullshit. We don't do that, right? So people are counting on you to get them paid the same way clients are counting on you to get them insured. So how do you manage both? How are you managing producing? How are you managing leading? And then how much of success is like systems and activity versus like raw talent?
So I would say a typical day for me looks like I'm getting in the office every morning at 8. We do our morning meeting at 8:30 a.m. At 9 through 9:30. We just kind of get everyone together, get everybody ready. We do a morning call as well, and then we start hitting the phones. And typically speaking, most of the sales that you guys are
All
seeing
these
later
programs.
in the afternoon. Sorry.
You're good, you're good. Keep going.
Oh, um, all of these sales and videos that you're seeing me create are in the very late part.
Oh, you just muted. Yo, you just muted. I don't know what happened. Yeah,
Can
sorry.
you hear me?
You say all these programs and videos are in the late
Yeah,
part.
yeah, so all of the videos, I don't know why I called it a program. All of the videos you're seeing are recorded like later on in the evening, because I'm helping my agents throughout the day. So a lot of people that I see in this industry, they're very selfish when it comes to training, and you can't be. These guys are trusting you. They're putting their livelihoods in your hand. So a lot of these guys think buying their agents' leads is enough, and here's the script. There you go. No, you have to spend a lot of one-on-one time with agents, and I'll even take the phone away from the agent. Like we do a handoff. Like, so for instance, if that agent, if I look at that agent and I'm like hand it off, that means they're hanging up. So what that agent's going to do then is go, hey, real quick, Betty, this sounds like great information for my specialist, Jack. Here he is. And I'll literally take the call for the agent and sell it for them. I'm going to get an override off of it. So quit being a selfish bitch. Help your agents out. Don't think about if you've sold, because I've sold $250,000 a year in the business every year since basically I've gotten in or close to it. That maybe I hammed that a little bit. I fluffed that maybe in the first year. I was under $250,000. But anyways, so uh don't be selfish. I've made great money. I got fantastic renewals coming in. I make great override when my agents are selling. If your agents are thriving, you will thrive too. But you have to be able to spend some time with them and also be directive with them. Sometimes it is gonna, like the way I train, sometimes it will affect them in a way that will be effective enough for them to want to make the change on the phone. Like, for instance, we had a kid years ago in our office, and he sucked on the phone. It was the worst I've ever heard in my life. And there was a manager in that office go, "Oh no, you sound fine. Just keep going with it." And I went out into the conference room and I got on a knee next to him. I'm like, "Hey, Billy Bob, that's what we'll call him." I'm like, That is some of the worst phoning I've ever heard in
Oh,
my career. That sounds really bad, and I would not take that advice that you sound good. You need to change this fast, or else you're not going to be in the business for much longer because you don't sound any different from your first day to now, and you've been in the business for a week and a half. That's problematic. So saying stuff like that will wake an agent up. It'll make them see the urgency. It'll make them see the value. Ask them how much been getting paid. How much have you been making? Nothing. How much have you spent on leads? 500. Okay, so you're negative $500 in the industry. Congratulations. Obviously, something's going wrong there. And if you as a manager are not willing to identify that or isolate the incident, if agent to agent and give them individual help, then your agents are going to fail.
mm,
That is just the fact of the matter.
no doubt, no doubt. The one-on-ones go such a long way as well, man. There is obviously a bit of ignorance that needs to be paid off for each agent when coming into the business, adjusting the learning curve, doing the work inside the business, outside the business. But the listening to you is going to be one thing, but obviously, like you said, right? You listening to them, giving them that real feedback, that's the one thing that's going to go a long way. And as simple as it sounds, not a very common thing that you come around, that kind of training. But it's definitely, again, going back to where the industry is headed right now, it's going to be crucial. Um, so what kind of activity standards do you hold your agents to? So like what kind of activity standards should a serious agent respect weekly if they actually want to make real money? Calls, contacts, hits, follow-ups, all that.
Yeah, so we keep a contact sheet actually.
Hmm.
So, excuse me, coming down from a cold.
Yeah.
We have them keep track of their contacts and their attempts and of course sales. So contact meaning every time that person picked up the phone and you talk to a person, that's a contact.
So
And
hello,
then,
right? So someone said,
yep,
hey, hello.
as soon as someone says, "Hey, hello," that's a contact.
Yep.
Right? And then an attempt is every time you've shown price as an agent. You
Oh.
walked them through a presentation, you showed them price, but maybe it didn't work out for a specific reason. And then we have sales, obviously, and that's the easy one. That means you made a sale. So the main correlation with that is keeping track of that data. So if the agent's got a shitload of contacts and not any attempts, that's a problem. That's an easy identifier that that agent's getting hung up on at the beginning every single time, and something is going horrifyingly wrong when that person is picking up the phone. If they're having lower contacts and more attempts, that's a yellow light. That means, okay, they're letting him walk through the presentation. He's doing something right. He's grabbing their attention. He's hooking them in. But something's going wrong on price. Is he not doing a policy review? Is he missing building value somewhere? Is he not selling on himself? Is he not selling the companies? Is he not describing the three different types of life insurance as well? And that allows you to hone in on people. And then sales. That's one that I actually watch out for a lot more because it's harder when you grow a bigger team to watch each individual person sell. And there are agents out there that will leave a lot of debt. I don't give a shit what hits the text line. You can text out 10 at 15,000 AP. You can text out 20 at 50,000 AP. I don't believe a single bit of that shit until I see it hit the net report. I want to see what hit your bank account. because that net report is what hit your bank account. And there's a lot of people in the industry that cap their asses off. Oh, I'm texting out a 15, 20K week every single week. But somehow on that net report, you're only ending the year at 150K. Now, how does that work?
Yeah, no,
Something seems wrong about that. And it's either they're texting out a bunch of shit for clout, trying to look cool, or they're actually writing a lot of bad business and it's not sticking and
mm,
it's falling off. And you better be watching that agent like a hawk. Because I've had agents do crazy shit. I've had agents, they don't get the bank information. Okay, fine. We'll put our own Cash App down on it. Back in the day when before they even had like the bank verifying on app, like the G verify or whatever, man, I took a 30K debt roll up from one agent doing that. So it's these agents are crazy out here. They'll screw you as your manager too. Don't think for a second the agent won't screw you either. So these people will leave you with debt and they do not feel obligated to
yep,
pay it back one bit,
yep,
even though they signed a contract. And taking them to court is like trying to squeeze blood out of a stone. You're never gonna see a penny of that money.
yep, yep.
So
That's the truth. You got to be selective with who you bring on, man. That's like the balance of leverage, you know? Like once you bring an agent to the organization, you teach them how to sell insurance. Like if they start cracking insurance and then they decide that, hey, they want to jump ship and they want to try and do something else, dude, like at that point, you've taught them, you spend your money, you spend your time. That's like, you know what you need to do. At that point, they better sit down, they better write some insurance, pay their bills. And at they have to pay off the ignorance debt that they had to that you put into them. The other side though is that you're assuming their debt. Every time you bring an agent in, the risk that you're taking is you're bringing in their debt.
mhm.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, man, because guys like yourself who seem to be doing, and I'm not saying that you're not, but like very tough thing to come by in this day and age with leaders who there's two sides of the spectrum. There's leaders who screw their agents and do the wrong thing and all that, but then there's leaders who like actually do the right thing, right? They'll take care of the agent. They'll run by a code of morals, ethics. They'll even be honest in an interview process, like, hey, this is how we run shit.
Mhm.
And you see both sides, right? You see that then once you become like a relatively good leader who has some sort of standards, you start to see exactly what you just said. Agents will sometimes leave you high and dry, right?
Mhm.
You take care of them, get them paid, get them taken care of, and they'll still do that to you, right? There's no good and there's no bad. It's like you just gotta find people who align with the values, man. I mean, you're hitting all the right points here. Um, so I mean, so you have obviously level of oversight. You're tracking your activity. This is good. Mm, now, if an agent says they're working hard, but like income isn't matching the effort, how many agents, if you don't mind me asking, just so I can get like a full picture, um, I'm sure you have other managers and stuff too. How many agents are you managing like to coach at this time?
So I actually burned a lot of my team off.
Oh, good. It's
There
good.
was there was there
You
was
need
a
that.
cancer growing in my team and
Good.
had to go. But
What cancer is that? Do you mind talking about it or you don't want to talk about
well, so it's I'll expand on it a little bit.
it? Okay.
If there's someone in your team that you trust a lot and you are giving them almost like authority like a manager and they start preaching bad or start preaching against what you believe in, you have to be able to go against that person as bad as it hurts you to do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of my agents learned bad habits and we no longer had each other's best interests in mind. And it's all love to those agents. But I'm very peculiar about who I hire. Very, very peculiar about who I hire. My mom was always like, you got to learn to work with people you don't like. I don't believe that's true. And I will go far and wide, high and low to find the right agents to work with me, that will make each other successful at the end of the day. But at one point, I oversaw like 30 agents. Now we got about 20 in the office.
Beautiful.
So definitely, significant downsizing, and we had a massive culture outside of me as a manager too, and um, so like we had a massive team in Michigan. We called it Michigang,
Mm,
and everything was going so great. Like it was honestly some of the best years of my whole entire life.
mm,
And what happened was a lot of that bad poisonous culture got adopted, and we didn't recognize the signs fast enough. And while that was all happening, we lost a very close friend of ours. And that really shook like a lot of, there was a big culture shift when that happened because he was a really big light for everybody. And I don't even like talking about that shit. That shit's so depressing. But um, that really, that killed like when our friend Brian passed away, like the energy with that team like went with him. And that was like a hard thing for us to all have to deal with. And in that time we were making a switch from doing door to door, like selling in-person mail-in leads to making a shift and getting into the office and doing everything virtual. And I didn't even know what a live transfer lead was back in October. That's how distant we were from the virtual sales because I came from the virtual and doing cold calling. So I had such a bad taste in my mouth about it. So now we're revamping the culture and things are going great again. I love where we're at right now. We're in a great position, but as far as like having the biggest agency stuff like that, I'm not that person. I'm very peculiar about who gets hired and who gets trained.
No doubt, man. My condolences as well to your late friend, your late partner.
Yeah, he was a good dude. He was a good dude, man.
Yeah. Can't imagine it to be easy, but I do applaud you in the sense that you've, continued to push forward and lead your team to glory, and continue to do so as well, man. Probably
Yeah.
gives you a sense of drive. It's like gives you a sense of purpose as to why you're doing this too, especially in the business of life and death, right? So, I want to shift as well, kind of back to like the sales process stuff in the last few minutes that we have here, before we open it up for questions. So if anyone has questions here, just please start texting them in the chat. We're gonna start taking them here momentarily. Um, I know you kind of talked about those three things that you sort of emphasize on when going into present use: service, stability, price last, right? But what is your like philosophy, I'd say, on objections? Like, are objections solved in the moment or created through weak setup?
Um, I would say maybe a little bit of both, but I would say objections are just created in the moment. Every person's going to be different. Everybody has different things to say. And that's the thing I love, I think, the most about the sales industry is I love socializing with people. My friend that I'm with right now, he's not anywhere near as social as I am. Like if we're out in public, and I'll do random stuff when we're in public to embarrass him, like just because he's just not socially apt like that. So I love different people, and I think people are just so weird. Like the truth will always be far stranger and funnier than fiction if you really look at it. And um, you just have to enjoy that process of talking to people, but everybody's going to object you differently. And I can appreciate all different objections, but there's going to be the main core objections that you get that everybody is going to say. And no matter how much you build credibility, you know when you're talking to somebody that's stiff or not when you've been in the business long enough, and they're going to give you a little bit of pushback, but a little bit of pushback is healthy. Like we say we can be too salesy. I say people can be too buy. Somebody
Mm.
that's like, yep, yep, sign me up, sign me up. I'll take the biggest one possible. Sign me up. Yep, I've been looking for this. Yep, I need this. No, 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 no. Hold on, Betty. Why are you 70 and you don't have life insurance yet? Or why are you 45 with a $500,000 mortgage and you don't have mortgage protection insurance yet? Like, do you see what I'm saying there? Because that's gonna identify their true need as opposed to them just, oh yeah, 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 sign me up. Because that's not a true client. That's not somebody that's interested or asking buying questions. An objection is just a buying question most of the time. Why do you need this information? I don't like giving that out. Nobody likes giving it out. Nobody. No one likes going to the doctor and turn your head and cough, right? No one likes that, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just the fact of it. Being directive with these people, getting to the true objection that they have. Um, so if they're gonna, for instance, if they're gonna object me on price, okay, Betty, well, I understand it, it might be affordability. Do you think you can afford, $1 a day, about $30 a month for something as important as your life insurance? Or do you think you could afford $60, $70 a month for something as important as your mortgage protection, Roger? Ask them those questions. Get them thinking about it, and the real objection will come out of their mouth. Well, it's just I don't really like the value in what I'm getting. Hey, I totally can appreciate that, but the idea of life insurance is not to make your family rich when you pass away, Betty. It's just to make sure no one's left in any sort of out-of-pocket cost or expense. Right? So get to the real objection. And sometimes it's not even an objection, it's just a question.
Exactly. You know, it's funny too, without cutting you off. They'll say the objection and they'll pause.
Hmm.
They won't say nine times out of ten, honestly. They'll say the objection and they'll pause. Like
Yep.
someone, it's the most interesting thing because like if they really didn't want it, they really didn't like you, what would they do? They hang up the phone. They
Yep.
want to see what you're gonna say to alleviate the pain that they're having, you know?
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
They're giving you the opportunity to handle it
Yeah, these
every
people are
time.
playing the game. Nobody likes to admit they've been sold. Everybody likes to be sold.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
that's the truth. Now, for you have a lot of new agents here too, man. We have like one or two more questions and we'll open it up here. If I gave you a brand new agent for 30 days, what exact habits and skills would you drill into them first, initially?
So one would probably be setting a standard of ethics,
Mm.
So if I'm gonna hire that person, I'm gonna be asking them, hey, what's your background? How, what did you play sports growing up? Did you do this? Did you do that? I'm gonna look for ways to connect with that person. Right? You have to make sure there's a connection there and then they understand your ethics. You have to have uncompromisable standards when they are getting into this industry. For instance, if I hired an agent and they were saying a lot of state benefits and all this garbage, you gotta I don't like that. We gotta change that. That's not seeing eye to eye with me ethically. If we're beating around the bush on policy review or we're selling them policies that are significantly more expensive than what they should actually be paying, or you're selling them more coverage or trying to pressure them into more coverage when you know damn well they're not going to be able to make that payment. Agents have to realize one thing when they're getting in is that the way we get paid in this business is through leveraging debt. That's how we get paid.
Yep, it's all
We
loans.
are we are leveraging debt.
Yep.
So if you are writing a bunch of bad business, that's going to catch up to you extremely quickly. And a new agent that's writing a lot of big AP, those if you're a manager in this call, watch them like a hawk. Watch that back office like a hawk. Even go through all the policy data and information if you need to ensure that the clients they are writing are 100% legitimate and on board. I've even called my agent's clients before. Hey, did you speak with so and so on this day? Yeah, yeah, I did. Okay, wonderful. And they were able to help you out with everything? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, wonderful. I'm his manager. I'm just making sure, doing a little bit of quality control, making sure everything was satisfactory to you. Would you recommend him to other people? Yeah, I absolutely would. He was a fantastic agent. Wonderful, Betty. So glad to hear he's doing a great job. You have a fantastic rest of your day. You can call this cell phone number if you need anything personally. My name is Jack again. Okay, wonderful. That sort of stuff.
That's that's number one thing I'm taking away from this call. Last question I always like to ask, man. We have this thing where the last guest asks a question for the next guest. So the last guest, and then you get to ask a question for the next guest as well. Last guest asks, what's the biggest struggle you've had to overcome? And then what question would you ask the next leader to challenge them at the deepest level?
Um,
Maybe in the insurance space. Yeah. What's the biggest struggle you've had to overcome in the insurance space?
Biggest struggle in the insurance space I ever had to overcome was probably having a higher emotional IQ. Like when I started, I was very stressed out. I did not manage my money well. I would spend a lot to get instant gratification. Um, and forgive me, I was smoking a lot at the time when I was new. So I was just doing a bunch of stuff that was not going to line up with somebody that was going to be successful, right? I had a low emotional IQ. I jumped to my coping mechanisms. I ate like crap. Um, overcoming a lot of that and getting a higher emotional IQ, understanding, hey, I'm in a high pressure situation, but I'm going to be able to keep myself cool, calm, and collected and provide clarity in this situation at the end of the day. And knowledge replaces a lot of your fear with that. So I had to do a lot of studying, I had to do a lot of training, I had to make a lot of self-sacrifice. And I would say that was probably the hardest part is just keeping me like emotionally in check because I'm just a very animated person, if you can't already tell.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely get, involved deeply.
beautiful. What's the question you'd ask the next leader at the deepest, to challenge them at the deepest level?
Um, is it really a risk if you're leaving behind a life you didn't even like in the first place?
The risk.
That's a
What's the
question
risk?
asked me the other day, and that shit changed my whole entire perspective on everything. And
Yeah,
if you guys ever get time to watch the Steve Jobs' commencement speech, I believe he delivers it for the students graduating for Harvard's
yeah,
class of 2005. And it is one of the best speeches you could ever listen to, in my opinion, in your whole entire life. It's one of the most useful things I've ever heard in my whole entire career. It's the Steve Jobs commencement speech. If you look that up, it's 15 minutes. It will seriously impact the way that you're looking at this business because if you don't like this business or you don't love this business, leave it. That's the same way I treat my clients on the phone. If you don't like it, you can just hang up. And most of the time they don't. So do what you love and you'll always do a good job.
let's go, man. And you said, is it really say one more time, is it really a risk if you're leading a life?
Is it really a risk if you're leaving behind a life you didn't want in the first place?
Didn't want in the first place. Beautiful, Jack. Is it Jack Gariglio?
Yep.
Gariglio, my friend, man. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Do you have like the next like maybe 10 minutes to answer some questions from our guests?
Yeah, for sure. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you so much, man. Hey, everyone can please unmute. Say thank you to Jack for joining us today.
Thank you.
He
Thank you,
was
brother.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jack.
bro.
Thank you.